guess where do you start?
On the first half of the year, you get nothing. We ain't even putting a tree in the house. We not even nobody. No gifts, no nothing. We just everything's out. We just fast forward into the following year. That's what we're doing with Arizona right now. With Christmas, we ain't getting a tree, no gifts, no nothing. We just moving forward. We gonna celebrate New Year and we gonna hit the reset button. Fellas, where do you start? Like seriously, where do you start? I mean, this team was what 10th in the country right now, and I don't even know where to begin to start. I mean, to how do you fix what's going on in Arizona? And I think that they have their question marks. I wondered how honest Tommy Lloyd would be if we were to literally ask him what's going on, what does he feel going on with in his locker room and with his players right now. So. Christmas gifts, nah, nobody's getting the gifts right now. We need. I'm not even putting a tree up in the house right now. We just gonna fast forward it, get ready for next 2020, 25.
Go ahead, Rob. I'm still thinking through this one. Go ahead.
I think you need Krivas. There's two things you need, right? You need Krivas to take the leap that we all expect him to get healthy and to be able to give you that kind of anchor in the post. You know, so much of what Tommy Lloyd wants to do and what Mark Few was doing, what Tommy kind of copied his offense off of was having those guys that you could run. You know, you run those ball screens, you get those duck-ins, you get touches to the guys in the post and kind of play out of that, right? And they don't have that option right now because Toby Awaka's not a post scorer. He's more of a hustle guy and a rebounder, and Henry Visar is more of a space it out, stretch big than he is kind of a low post guy. You got to get Krivas going. You got to find a way to get him making the leap that a lot of us expected him to make based off of the hype that he had this offseason. And the other part of it is Jaden Bradley. He's got to be better. I would say that the biggest thing that you can do is get, I don't know if they have a GM. I don't know if they have someone kind of monitoring the portal, but you got to get someone that's going to be better at evaluating some of these transfers that are coming in. Because if you look at his best teams, there were pros all over the wings, whether it was your boy Pella Larson, T.O., whether it was Ben Matherin, whether it was Dalen Terry. There have been big athletic wings all over Arizona's roster the last couple of years. And you look at what they got this year, and it's not KJ Lewis. It's not Anthony Del Orso. I don't think that that Trey Townsend's going to be a guy that is going to end up flying up draft boards at any point. So you're kind of built this team where you don't have a point guard. You don't really have a 5-man. They're so important to the offense that you run. And then you're kind of relying on Caleb Love to be something that he's not. You know, Caleb Love, if Caleb Love's like your number 2 guy where everything else kind of breaks down, it's like, all right, this isn't working. Let's see if Caleb's hot tonight. Instead of being the guy that you kind of have to rely on to carry you through games, that's not a good situation to be in. So there's a lot. They need a lot of presence. The wish list for Tommy Lloyd is like 3 pages long.
Rob, if I can't count on a guard that's been in the national championship game, a 5th-year guy that's a former player of the year, if I can't count, like that resume says number 1 option. So if he can't even be a number 2, then we're in trouble, right? Like this is because I think Jaden Bradley's probably been their most consistent player on both ends of the floor compared to some of these other guys.
But he's not a point guard. Like he's not.
No.
He's not the guy.
I agree with you.
Yeah. He's not the guy that's going to make life easier for everybody else. Like he's a really good defender, and he's someone that's going to be electric in transition. And I thought against UCLA, he was their best player against UCLA. But the problem was he's not someone that you want to rely on taking 15 shots a game and running ball screens.
Hey, you just answered it. You just said he was their best player. That's the problem. Like, that's the problem. Like, he's their best player.
Exactly.
That's why we're sitting here.
Give my man a 5-game stretch where he's shooting about 40% so we can get around 33%. And I think they'll be, I mean, look, got smacked by Duke, got smacked by Wisconsin, 5-point loss to Oklahoma, who's a lot better than people realize. Lost to West Virginia in OT and lost by 3 to UCLA. Context matters. However, you're 4-5. You need to start stringing together some wins. I thought Keshad Johnson last year was so good for them, and I thought they might have thought that Trey Townsend could have jumped in and been that kind of guy. I don't know that he's the same kind of explosive guy. Trey's been fine, but there is no Pele Larson on this team now, where you're going to shoot crazy percentages from 3 and defend 1 through 4. So how do you make up for that? You hope Caleb Love really catches fire here soon. So that's that. I don't have much for you on this one. They just got
Well, I mean, that
they've been close. They've been closer since November 27th. They just got to put it all together, and they got to have their best player play better.
yeah, you kind of summed up the whole issue right there. You summed it up perfectly, right? Like Pelle Larson and Kashad Johnson were the perfect kind of role players that you need for what Tommy Lloyd is looking for. Like guys that can space the floor, guys that can defend, that are switchable up and down the lineup, that are old, that are veterans, and like that's not what they have right now. Like, I would make the argument that there were some misevaluations going on with some of the transfers that came in, and it's hard. Like you get a week to kind of figure out if these transfers are the right fit, and then you got to go out and get the players to come in. Sometimes you're still doing that while you're in the midst of the NCAA tournament. So like I empathize with that. And then you went from Umar Balo to Mateus Krivas, which I think that Arizona thought was like, okay, we can make this work because Krivas should be good, but he never made the leap. And then you lose Kai Boswell and you don't really replace him with it. It just, you saw what worked last year. They did not replace the pieces that they lost that made it work. And I think that is the core of the issue.